Hey Robert, can you hear me?
Hey Brad, how are you?
I'm okay, man. How's it going?
Okay. How's it going with you?
All fine. All fine. I'll let you do a couple of laps. Since you're out on track, just maybe let's just do a first run. I had a check of your data. I couldn't see any laps here, so I assume this is the first session you're actually doing here, at least for a while.
Yeah, for a little while. I actually tried to run. Sorry, this is a bad spot for me.
Yeah, sorry.
Um, I had some updates this morning and I got sort of all updated and I ran like 2 laps, went off quickly, and then had to go take care of a worker that was showing up at the house.
Okay.
So I have run here before in the F3, of course,
Yeah.
but um, this is the first time in this before God.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just suggest let's go do like a relatively long first run here, just so that you've got a good like you feel really comfortable with this car around here, at least as a baseline, and then we'll start digging into it. I did about 8 or 9 laps about an hour ago, and I feel pretty comfortable here with exactly what the best way around is. So
Okay.
I'll let you. I'll let you just get comfortable, and then if it seems like you're consistently doing something, I think there's a better way. I'll talk to you, and then we'll have a look at it afterwards. But I'm just gonna ride on board
Okay.
with you. Obviously, feel free to talk to me if you want.
I finally managed to find a little bit of speed at the. Oh, yeah. At Hockenheim. I'm sorry.
No, Bergo.
4.5 off your pace. That's disgusting.
You've only just done one lap. I did loads. I kept finding time every lap. I went quicker and quicker and quicker. So you keep kind of building confidence in some of the key areas. It's amazing how much time you can gain with quite small changes around here. So don't worry. I'll tell you it all. I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to let you finish this session without knowing everything.
That was way too early. That last track that we were at, I must have spent a lifetime on that track.
Okay.
And it took me. Um, I finally got a little bit of speed there, but I'd have to say it was really hard for me to find it there.
If you get like 5 or 6 laps in and you're just doing the same kind of times over and over, then we'll obviously stop then. But I'm just gonna keep.
Okay.
I'm gonna just let you keep going until I see you stop improving, because at the moment, obviously, you still are.
That was very good.
See, it's the same for you as it was with me. You're finding big chunks of time still, so just keep doing what you're doing. There's no there's no point in us going over a thing that you were going to naturally just find in a next couple of laps anyway. So I'll let you find all the stuff that you're naturally gonna find on one run, and then we'll do the extra stuff after that. So, but good improvement so far.
They really screwed up that entrance to the straight.
I found as long as you don't overheat the tyres like dramatically on exit, the car does just keep getting quicker. So the tyres don't really fall away or anything, as long as you're not crazy with the on throttle oversteer.
So throw away that.
That line you just took where you ran out wide on the exit there, that's actually not a bad thing to do. You don't get an off track, and you can really carry a lot of speed through there if you allow yourself onto that runoff.
Okay.
It doesn't look tidy, but I found I could carry more speed by doing it.
Too early again.
At least you made the apex, though. Oh, that was quite a big off. The car will repair itself, so I think you can still do another couple of laps.
Wow. I just totally lost the gear there.
It's very, very easy for that to happen. I'm just going to watch it back.
I have to say.
I think you were just a little sharp with this. No, no, you weren't sharp with the steering. No, I couldn't see the wheel properly from my view. Yeah, maybe you just tried to stay left a tiny bit too much. Yeah. Anyway, don't worry. That section's very, very tricky. Ooh.
I was not brave enough with the throttle there.
Such a fine line to tread, isn't it? You can easily just spin the wheels and lose a bunch of time, or you can just delay it too much and lose a bunch of time.
Like that.
That's also easily done. Don't worry, a lot is just going to be muscle memory. You know, when you've done a bunch of laps around here, I think this feels easier than Nürburgring. I think this car flows more easily around this track. But there's some things I'm going to tell you that are just going to open it up for you and make it a little bit easier. Let's just do this one and then maybe one more flyer, and then we'll have a little pause. I just want to tell you some of the low-hanging fruit. Well held. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because before you were going a little early, weren't you, and then turning in too early. So I think what we're going to do maybe differently is don't try and brake crazy late. You can still brake at a safe point, but as you start arriving towards the end of the braking zone, you can always like you can roll off it a little bit just so you don't stop too soon. Obviously, the ideal thing to do, yeah, don't worry about that. The ideal thing to do is to, yeah, that's okay. I'm also distracting you by talking. The ideal thing to do would be obviously to nail the exact point and brake as late as possible. But until you have enough laps under your belt here that you just get it perfect every time, what I would do is be just on the safe side so you don't miss the corner like we did on this lap, but don't stay hard on the brakes until the car's going too slow. You can always modulate it. That was a nice apex. Yeah, let's just do this one then. At least you know. At least you know where it was. You know, it's not a mystery. It is easy to lose a lot of time on this track by going in too fast to the corners. That's why I say be on the safe side and then make sure you're really, really accurate at the apexes so you can get on the power smoothly and early.
in the phase of exploring where I can go.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. I'm going to show you some like non-negotiable positioning points. So we'll run through a lap in just a moment. I'm just going to tell you what I'm thinking, like where I have to place the car and the gear I have to be in for it to be a quick lap. And that will kind of start to unlock a little bit more pace, but it'll make it easier for you as well. Because there's, okay, so once you cross the line, just park this one up. There's a couple of places on this track where the car works better if you go a bit quicker through the corner, even though it feels a bit sketchy the first time you do it. So what I'm going to do, before we actually look at yours, I'm actually just going to show you one of my laps. I don't know which one. I wasn't like, perfect. Let's go for, I'm going to go for the last one, because even though it was actually my third fastest, it wasn't my very fast. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen yet. It wasn't my very fastest. It was, I think, probably the neatest. And there was a different area where I lost time. So let me just turn on this camera. There we go. Right, can you see me and my screen?
So let me ask you a question.
Go on.
After all this time that I spent with the Nürburgring,
Yeah.
where I managed to figure out how to get a little bit faster, but it took me a lot of time. I spent a lot of time there, more time than I've spent at any track.
Okay.
And what I noticed is when I was really fast, so I think I got down to, I think my fastest time was 135 something,
Okay.
maybe 8, something like that. I can't remember. It was 6. So I shaved off from where I was running, which was 138 when we were down to running 36s, and then I went 135 on one lap.
Yeah.
The thing that I noticed is that when I'm really fast, or when I feel like I'm fast, I can really sense the front left. So, in other words, the outside front tire on turn. In other words, if I'm making a right-hand turn,
Yeah.
I really feel the front left. If I'm making a left-hand turn, I really feel the front right. That's where I feel the limit of the car. If I can feel that front tire digging in and gripping, and I can feel the limit on that tire specifically.
Okay.
Is that something that you notice, that you feel, that you...
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably is, although I don't think you necessarily consciously engage that all the way, in every corner. That is your point of reference. Like the inside tire doesn't really matter that much apart from in terms of braking limit, because obviously being unweighted, the inside one is the one you're paying attention to when you're on the brakes hard and you're turning in. But the outside one is definitely the one in terms of how much you can turn the wheel and how fast you can go through the corner. That's the one that you are kind of aware of, and that is the one you're feeling. I've never really thought about it individually. I normally think of like the front axle, but obviously it's the outside tyre that's doing the majority of the work in that situation. So I think that is, you're correct. That's a good thing to just be aware of. You know, and that is what you're feeling through your force feedback is essentially mainly how much grip that front outside tyre has. So you're just saying what? So doing all those laps at the Nürburgring kind of made you more hyper aware of.
It made me more aware when I could lean on that tire.
Yeah. Okay.
That actually gave me sort of a springboard effect coming out of turn.
Okay.
That I don't normally feel.
Okay. That's good. I mean, that might just be like a bit of a natural phase of your driving development. You know, just you like a kind of an extra sense just developing a little bit that just will be absorbed into your, you know, your driving armory. It's like another tool, and because I think like really experienced drivers, they're guilty of not actually thinking about this stuff very much. Like they just do it, and it's just these things they've done enough times that they are also aware probably of exactly the same thing you've just described. They're just not conscious that they're aware of it. You know, they're not thinking about it happening, but they're driving the little kind of driving algorithm that's going on in their brain whilst they're driving a race car or a simulated race car, or whatever. It is taking that into account and kind of processing that as part of the equation. They're just not necessarily thinking about it. That's why when you talk about it, I'm like, okay, let me just picture what that sensation is or what it is you're talking about. But I think you're right. Like, there are times when that's the most important thing. There are other times when being aware of the rear obviously is the most important thing, like on exit, you know, on throttle on exits, for example. But if you anywhere where the limit is happening currently, and on corner entry, normally it's the front outside tyre, and on corner exit, certainly if it's a slow exit or a medium speed exit where you're powering on the exit, and it's a powerful car like this, then you're like, your focus, even though it's not necessarily an actual focus, but your kind of subconscious focus should switch to that tyre that's on the limit. You should have like this subconscious understanding that the limit is kind of moving around to different points on the car depending on what's currently happening, and that's the thing you need to be not concentrating on, but giving your awareness. I keep saying awareness, but like being aware of that thing, because you need to change what you're doing based on what happened. You know, what reaction that corner gives you. So yeah, I guess like being aware of the individual corners of the car, all four wheels, all four tyres basically, is a really good thing to just keep in mind. But yeah, I think you're right. Let me show you a lap and what I'm doing and what I'm aware of on this lap. So first thing is, I started off going down a gear for turn one like you are. I then found there is loads of downforce, there's loads of grip, very lenient track limits, and I am now just staying in sixth gear into turn one, and really not slowing down that much, just making sure I hit the inside curb. And it can be the sausage curb. I noticed on the last lap you hit the curb. That's kind of what I want to do. But because if you aim at the normal curb, sometimes you can miss it. I'm like aiming at the sausage curb, and if you hit it, it doesn't smash the suspension up like it probably would in real life. It kind of... oh, we've got an extra person in here. Hi, Max. We're just in a coaching session at the moment. See you later, dude. So basically you can hit the sausage curb and it doesn't hurt you. So I'm going to just show you it in full speed. And I'll show you I know you can't hear it, I say this every time, but you can see my throttle trace. So this is turn one. Little brake, back on the power, and then using loads of curbs. So staying in sixth gear and like hitting that curb like that. And it doesn't unsettle the car at all if you go through fast enough, because there's enough downforce. So there's a little brake, but I'm straight back on full throttle before the apex, like before I get there. Because that brake rotates the car now, and it goes really nicely in, and then you can just go pat, bang, straight on the gas. You can come out wide here. It does a bump, but it doesn't spit you off. You know, just get the wheel pretty straight, and off you go without actually getting it off track. So that's the first thing I'm thinking of. So turn one, stay in the high gear, and go through fast enough that you're still high in the revs as you exit that corner. If you slow down too much, it'll be wrong. You'd have been better off in 5th. But if you just nail it through there, and I'm talking maybe like lap 3 onwards. I haven't tried this on an early lap because, as you can see, I only did this one run, and I was only doing that 6th gear probably from lap 6 when I figured it out. But I'm just telling you early now because I think it would be quicker from early on. But maybe like lap 3 when the tyres are warm. So yeah, so little break, but not very much, and just bam. Just essentially trust the downforce. Treat the car like it's got loads of high-speed grip. And that theme is going to carry on through some of the rest of the lap. I'm going to tell you to go quicker through certain corners, and it will actually make the car stick better. And then you'll be like, oh, why was I going in so slow before? That doesn't apply to corners like this one. So these tight corners. So my focus here is on going in slow enough that I'm not deep on the exit, because there's loads of time to be gained by being kind of midway in the track and getting early on the power into the fast left. Because if you go in deep, you have to delay the power. So I want to make the apex here, but oh, wrong camera. So, but you know, ideally I'd be on the curb. I didn't quite nail it, but I want to make the apex. And you see, I'm keeping it tight. I stay off the throttle. So I'm off throttle here, and I don't get hard on the throttle because I don't want to go any deeper in. So that when I come off the corner, I'm over the halfway point to the right. And then it's very, very early to full throttle then, like from here. Rather than if you go out wide, you're pinch tight and you can't do it. So it's a very clear focus. It wasn't like just luck that I ended up here. I was trying very hard to make sure I ended up here, because I know I'd rather lose a little bit of time on being a slight bit cautious on the braking zone here, but make sure that I can then make up loads of time down this next straight. So that's, and then obviously this is quite straightforward. You just want to be full throttle all the way down here, then take a mega short line around here. Right, let's have a look at the braking for this hairpin. So my aim is to try and make the apex, but if you're half a car wide of the apex, actually you can still be quite quick. But it's the angle you come off this hairpin. You don't want like a constant radius all the way around. You want to really kind of angle it so that you get it's a slightly late apex, but you're on the power early. So let's just see if I managed it on this lap. I didn't manage it on every lap. So I'm going quite deep down, like quite far into the braking zone here. So I'm quite, you know, I'm well past the 50 board when I start to turn. I'm nearly at the end of the curb here when I start to turn in. And then I'm angled. In fact, it doesn't actually look very good. It actually looks like I've got a kind of mid apex here, which apparently was fine on this lap. But I'm going slow enough that by here, now I'm kind of facing out the corner. I'm not still understeering wide over here. And then I can get early on the power. So what I'm not doing is understeering wide before that yellow curb. I'm meeting that outside edge at the end of the yellow curb. So on board, it's probably going to look slightly different. It's that maximum steering angle when you reach the... See, maximum steering here, I'm like fully crossed over and at a very low speed. So the car actually does it. I'm not understeering at this point at all. You can see. And then I get the steering off very quickly. So it's really... That's the key. It's having a massive amount of mid-corner steering angle, and going slow enough that it really rotates when you do that, which means you can get the steering off super early like that. And then you can be early on the power because you're really straight on the exit. So we'll look at yours. Once we've seen this one, we'll look at yours, and then you'll see the comparison. Obviously, this is full throttle. Right, this is another one of those areas where I have a very clear target in mind, and that is to not treat this corner like it's a really slow corner. So I think you're going down to second. I was as well, to begin with, and I was treating this like a hairpin. I stopped doing that, and I started treating it like a slow, medium speed corner in third gear. So by going in slightly quicker, still very much under control, but slightly quicker in third gear, I was able to have a little bit more downforce, and the car kind of sails through there a bit more neatly. So I'll show you what I mean in full speed. So that's third gear, using lots of track on the exit. So I'm going fully wide, very clear apex, fully wide. And that kind of opens that corner up to being like a medium speed corner. So I'll show you on the outside view. And I'm off the brakes quite early. Now, this next bit's obviously tricky, but we'll deal with that separately. So I'm off the brakes by now, well before the apex, and in third gear, and just carrying that speed and really smoothly reapplying the throttle. Even then, I got a bit too much oversteer then, so that was probably more than ideal. You can be smoother on the gas than that, but then the idea obviously is to get back fully across to the left to here. So that's my next focus, being all the way left, ready to dance to here. Now this bit is just car control and trusting the car, so you will have to make little corrections through this fast right if you're right on the limit. I'll show you mine in full speed. Actually, that wasn't too bad. That was like relatively smooth. Oh, I've gone too far. So I'm full throttle, big lift, and then smoothly back on the gas. But again, that's a case of using the downforce. Going in here a bit quicker, but not overloading the rear. So quite high entry speed, and then a smooth introduction of the throttle means you just have that extra bit of downforce on the way through. And then when you ask for the throttle, you're already going quick enough that the car's being pressed down into the track a bit. So I'll go back over this again in like one complete lap at the end. Right, again, next corner, I've got a very clear focus, and that's on actually staying a gear higher than you are. So you're going in here in 5th, I'm getting up to 6th, and just keeping with it. So here we go. And I'm using loads of the exit curb. So 6th gear, and right out there. And it looks like I was going to go off. In fact, I probably did touch the gravel. This was not an off track. And I'm right out on the gravel. You don't have to go that far. I probably wouldn't want to risk it that much each time, but it worked. And this wasn't my fastest lap. I probably got a quicker lap when I was slightly further on the track. But yes, look, little bit. I don't know until I look, but yeah, so they're off. So just enough to get it rotated. So in slow-mo, right out to the wall. I'm actually turning in before the brakes. So right out to the wall, turn in full throttle, little brake just to get it rotated. It really rotates well. And then bam, full throttle all the way and just leaning on it. Just like not overreacting, just using all the track you have to. And even if you touch the gravel, you've got tons of downforce on at that point. And it just seems to stick. So just don't let it spook you, just ride it out. Then we have this really tricky car control section coming up. So, right, this is one I am getting down all the way down to 2nd, I believe. I think that's what I'm in now. It sounds like 2nd. Really hugging the inside till like the last minute. So I'm not letting the car run up high. I'm going inside, 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 and then smoothly on the gas as the wheels are a bit straighter. This is where you had your spin. I'm a bit earlier to the left. So I think when you had your spin, you turned in a bit later, and then it's probably a bit harder steering angle. So I go quite shallow into here, use a lot of curb, and this is one of the keys. So I didn't notice you doing this. I'm right out here. You were like giving quite a bit of space away here. And this is another one of those places I was talking about where I'm turning quite a slow corner, or what feels like a slow corner, into a medium speed corner, and then using the downforce that gives you. So really out wide here. I'll show you the off-board shot here actually, because then you can see the positioning. So, and then really inside, and again, really far outside, and just turning in early to the last corner, because there is a ton of exit runoff that you can use. And so actually, you can carry more entry speed here, and just like use the exit. So it's very, very smooth application of throttle. So I'm not going to full throttle hard. You see here, it's like gradually, gradually, and this is in slow-mo, gradually, 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 and then full throttle. The car's not out of shape, but it's just traveling quickly. So it's like leaning on that downforce. So I'm just going to show you that lap again, like the full lap in full speed. Then we'll look at your lap, and then you'll have a really clear idea of what we're going to do differently. So here we go. Here's full speed. I'll leave the throttle trace and everything up. So 6th gear, just carry the entry speed and lean on it. And then slow and under control, go through the apex slow enough that you can stay pretty far to the right, smoothly back on the gas, but quite quickly to full throttle, and obviously flat all the way through there. Shortest possible line here, which I know is obvious, but you could easily run a bit wide here. I'm just trying to track that curb as much as possible. Very straight line braking, and go very deep before you then turn the wheel. So you've got all the speed off before you then ask for the steering angle. That allows you to crank the wheel on quickly and get it off quite quickly. Obviously flat out through here. Through here, a gear higher than you are. Still quite slow, but slightly faster than you were. Very smoothly back on the gas. You'll be a gear higher anyway at that point, which will help. Just do as much as you can through that fast right. 6th gear through here, little bit of brake on entry, and then early power. You've got a lot of runoff there. I'm down to 2nd gear, very long apex, and then you can get on the power early and straight. Shallow entry here. Use all the track here and trail the brakes slightly into this right. All the track again. I didn't mention this, but it's barely any braking for that final corner. It's basically just a lift. If I just go back and show you the last one again. As I go into the last one here, you're going to see a flick of the brake there. But it was almost like my foot was just leaning on it. I actually didn't really need that brake. It did basically nothing. It's mainly a almost full lift, but not completely full. And then early on the throttle. Right, now let's just look at yours as a comparison, because it'll now look different probably, now you've seen that a couple of times. So let's go for your fastest one, because none of these were as good, I don't think. So let's just look at your quickest one. So we're down to 5th gear. You use the curb well, but there's more exit and basically just more mid-corner speed. You can just go through quicker. And then here, we're a little bit away from the left, so you've got a bit more space there. All that happened there was you basically just allowed it to go through the middle slightly too quick. You could have slowed it down more. You decided not to. But now I've shown you that it's really important. You'll probably just stay on the brakes slightly longer. Because at this phase here, you could have carried on slowing down. I think you just picked up the throttle early and that then pushes you wide. And obviously you'll have a momentary gain and you'll have a momentary loss when you start doing it my way, but then you'll have a massive gain through the next left. So that's why you're out here. Not terrible though. That line isn't terrible at all. You can still make that way fast. I just think my way's slightly quicker. We'll look at the data after your next run anyway. We'll see. Obviously this is easy. Let's have a look what happens here. So you see how you've peeled away from the left quite a lot earlier than me. I'm waiting a little bit longer, and that means I've got longer for the speed to come off. You might have carried on slowing it down the same amount as me. Maybe your braking point is just as good as mine, but because you've turned in early, suddenly you're limiting how much space you've got at the speed you're going. And then you've ended up tighter than you necessarily want, and you arrive out here a bit earlier. You remember I was coming out kind of near the yellow bit at the end. So this wasn't terrible. It was your quickest lap, but I think you can make your life a bit easier if you're going straighter for longer and then you turn back at the corner. That was just unnecessarily wide, so just touch that curb basically, flat out through there. And I think we probably left a little bit on the table here, but let's see what line we end up with. Yeah, we're quite wide here and we're treating it like it's a hairpin. And then you're leaving quite a lot of space here. It's the mid-corner speed that you really feel the difference with. We're basically making the corner tighter and treating it like it's tight. And there again, we've got a little bit of room here. We want to be all the way out here so you can just swoop in here at a high speed. And here as well, quite a lot of room. So we're just going to make the track wider and carry more speed because of it. Again, remember how I was nearly touching the wall here and staying in 6th, so there's a little bit more room there. And you're picking up the throttle relatively late there, so now you can get on early. I can hear it where it is. It's kind of quite late in the corner. So again, just give yourself the freedom to go earlier. Okay, this is where I was sticking really tight for ages. Yeah, pretty similar actually. That's not much different, but that is quite a lot later turning in. I was already aiming at this curb here, so that's going to make your life slightly easier too. All the way out here, and that will make this easier too. All the way out here. So basically, your track that you're allowing yourself is pinched tighter than the track I'm allowing myself. And that's the same. But that exit, there's loads of room as well. So now you know you're going to be a gear higher in a few places, and just carrying speed, feeling that extra downforce, you'll find loads of time. Even if you run run wide a couple of times first, just don't try and go too much quicker through the actual tight corners. But the ones we can speed up a bit, but all the ones we just mentioned, that's where we want you to do it. So for example, don't try turn 2 any quicker. Don't try the hairpin any quicker. But following sector, that's where we're really going to start leaning on it. So there we go. I won't even bother with data on this run, because I think you've visually seen what we need to change. So.
Yeah, the data's still valid.
That isn't what I meant. I just think I think that makes more sense, looking at the video on that one.
You might not have that.
Okay, let's do it. And obviously, the first couple of laps, the tyres are just warming up, so it's not as crucial. Robert, just say something for me. I'm just checking the audio on the recording.
Like that.
Yeah, I was just checking that I don't want to have like two. Yeah, there we go. I fixed it. I basically, it wasn't picking up iRacing sound. So I artificially changed something in the audio, but then it was picking you up twice. So I've now fixed it.
Well, I tried. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
mean,
I got an off track. But...
I don't know. I can't see whether or not that was an off track, but
Yeah, I did get an off track.
okay. Well, I mean, it was slightly wide, but remember, you're only on the first flying lap, so the tyres probably aren't optimal.
Yeah.
And you maybe tried it slightly too fast, but it was still decent effort. And you didn't lose control or anything. Oh, that's much better. Much better. I just feel like that's also more easily repeatable. I think you can do that every time. Well done. You're always so good at putting into practice the things we speak about.
Oh.
That's fine. I mean, to be honest, 5th gear probably isn't a lot slower than 6th gear. I just found 6th gear dragged me through faster. You know, it prompted me to slow down less. But if you're not... If you're on a trajectory, which means 6th gear actually isn't ideal, you know, if you have to slow it down a bit more for whatever reason, you know, the tyres are cold or you've gone in a bit early or whatever, then don't worry about using 5th. Like, if it's the better gear for the situation, then do it. But I definitely think on the fastest possible laps, you know, when you really hook it up, 6th is going to be quicker.
Okay.
But it does rely on you using that full width of the entry and just nudging the brakes at the right time to get it turned in.
Oh, I was disqualified.
Oh, were you? Oh, hang on. I didn't even... Oh, because you... clear penalties.
Because I went into reverse, actually.
Are you back again?
I'm back in the pits.
Is it letting you go? Okay, fine. Yeah, good. I was just hoping it hadn't, like, booted you out of the session.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Just bear in mind you got cold tyres again. As with all these things, it'll take a while to get the muscle memory of the stuff that you're trying to do now, and it'll feel unnatural to begin with, but... I mean, even then, like, you braked really late by the looks of it, but because you delayed your turn-in, you still made the corner totally fine. Don't forget to turn early into that flat-out right back there. So make sure you get right up to the wall here on entry.
Oh, that's hairy.
Nicely held. Yeah, I think on the first 2 laps I would use 5th as well through that right. Just because, you know, the car's not up to temperature enough. Oof. That was a snap. Just going to go back and look at that, since that's a corner that you've had a couple of snaps at. Yeah, it's the same thing as before. Into the left-hand part, you went in quite late,
Late.
and that meant you were still turning left when an earlier turn would have meant you'd already finished turning, if that makes sense. So as the revs really picked up and your power was at peak, that's when you still had a lot of steering angle on. Good effort, and you'll just keep creeping up that speed through there.
No, a touch too late.
Yeah, that was probably just trying to brake a little bit too late. But that's fine. Like, you're going to find the sweet spot. Last 2 attempts, you've been fine through there. So get in early here. And use all the track on the exit there, just so you got the wheel a bit straighter.
I forgot we said 5th for the first
That's okay.
few.
Yeah, that's okay. No problem. And the fact that you still held it is fine. Okay, and use all the track out to the red. And then just keep increasing the gas. That was a good final corner. Really nice final corner. So you can get quicker and quicker from there. And you can get back to full throttle earlier. So when you've done that initial brake for turn 1, you can get back to the power quite early. Because you've kind of done the... Oh, nice. You've done the rotational work, if you see what I mean, with the initial brake. You won't actually understeer that far wide as long as you've got it turned in correctly initially. So it kind of gives you the freedom to get straight back on the power before the apex. I was about to say very tidy until the throttle input. The entry was very tidy. So get it smoothly to the left here. That's better. That's it, and keep increasing that speed in the final corner. Nicely held. Remember, you've got a lot of room on the exit that you can like run wide towards. And all I say for turn 1 is aim to hit that red sausage curb, and then you'll probably just miss it.
That's a lot faster through there now.
Yeah, this is good.
I'm up half a second.
Good. Yeah, really nice. Very, very similar hairpin to me now. Turn in earlier for this right-hander. Like, really early. Even earlier than that. That's a good effort into there. Really nice. But the nice thing is, it doesn't lose control. You know, it's quite stuck to the floor. Well done. Yeah, this is looking really nice. So try and clip the sausage curb if you can at turn 1. So basically an earlier turn in than that,
Yeah,
or
that
a
was
more
not good.
decisive.
That was terrible.
It wasn't as good as your previous one.
Need to go back to baby school on that one.
Oh, you're so much better at the hairpin now. You're so much more consistent. Right, turn in way earlier here. Just get it in now. Like, even earlier than that next time. And use all the exit here. So I think you can carry more exit speed through that corner because there's more space than you think. Oh, okay, okay. You know what, though? That wasn't a million miles away. And I was going to say you've survived. But the car will repair itself. That was very Sebastian Vettel 2018 or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, you're just finding the limit through that fast right. So just keep doing it and you'll come to the correct conclusion. Here, get to the left early. That's it. So as you exit that right-hander that you've just done, get to the left side artificially early so that you're kind of flat against the curb, ready to turn right, if that makes sense. Good effort through there. Nice line. So if you do that line, you can carry a tiny bit more speed than that. I also think you can go earlier to the left in the left you've just gone through. You kind of go around. You go around the outside of that one quite often. I think you can just aim at the apex because you'll still have your wheel really straight because you're basically aiming to the outside but through the apex.
That was really good.
Just a little bit too quick into there, wasn't it? You know what to do. You know what to do through there. So early into here, just straight to the inside. That's it. Because you've got so much downforce, it'll just stick. And remember, you've got space on the exit here. Good stuff. Well done. That's way more like it through there. So early left, and then get artificially early to the left. That means you can then get pointed into that right a bit earlier when you nail it. Yeah, this is the last sector's looking so much better than it was before. Yeah, it looks coherent. It looks like you're putting it in the right place each time.
That was a little too much.
Tiny bit too much, but you still survived. You know, you still made it without a problem. Right, in this left, just go to the apex. That's more like it. That's better. See how much... Because you've got so much room, and by the time you get to the exit, you've got tons of downforce on the car at that point. You don't need to go wide around it. You can just turn in. Nice. You've really, really got the idea through there now. The idea of treating that tight left like it's slightly less tight, like flowing through the apex. Nice effort there. You can go a little quicker through that final corner because you've got all the exit to use. But you're doing a great job. So same again, straight to the apex. Good. This is enjoyable. I'm enjoying my ride on board here.
Okay. Oh, I cared too much. Roll off speed. That was not very pretty.
Really good line into there. Really, really good into there. You actually arrived here super fast, but that was a really nice right-hander that time. Right, let's do one more lap, and then we'll have a look at some data and some video. So I just want to make sure you know the places where you might still be leaving a little bit on the table. So you can focus on those in particular. So yeah, we're just going through the apex a little bit too quick. That's okay. We can park it there. We'll park it in the wall. Yeah, so the last 2 times into that corner, you've started to creep in with that slightly earlier turn again. So you were like tempted to feel like, oh yeah, I've probably got it slowed down enough. And then as you turn in, you get to the apex and you're like, no, shit, I did not slow it down enough. So just, in fact, let's just look back. I'm going to just rewind your video there just before that happened.
Sadly.
Yeah, so you probably brake slightly late, but you see you start to come off quite early off the. I mean, it's not early, but I'm like down to that last bit of blue, and you're off here, and then obviously you arrive here, and it's just you're still trying to slow it down. It just won't turn in. So it's just a combination of a fraction earlier on the brakes. You only need to be like 1 or 2 meters earlier than that, just a tiny bit more cautious. And if it's not stopping enough, go straighter for longer, actually, because you'll be able to brake harder for longer if the wheels are straight, and you're less likely to have less room. It feels like you want to turn in, but logically, you're making your life harder by doing the turn in. So even if you have braked too late, go straighter for longer. Like, it's even more important to go straighter for longer. Right, let's look at your best... No, let's look at your second best one, because that's one you did near the end, and it was quite similar in lap time. And then we'll look at the data for it. Okay, so turn 1. Nice. I mean, that worked. I mean, you used more curb than me, but it worked. We'll look at the data and see if it was actually quicker or whatever, but I'd wager maybe I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the fact you managed to come off the curb quite quickly shows that you were perfectly under control. So, anyway, you're a lot quicker through that corner than you were before.
I need more track on the left there.
This is a lot better. I think you might even have a bit more room you can use, because you're staying very tight on the exit. You might give yourself the freedom for half a car width more, but not really much more than that. And that's much better than it was before. Like, you were kind of going a bit wide around there before, so that's fine. This is one of the laps you went a little bit too fast through the apex, but I don't know, actually, it didn't turn in super early or anything like that. Yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good. Like, one of your better hairpins. Right, here. This is where I was saying you can kind of just turn in quite early. There's just no need to cover the extra distance, because you've got so much grip. You can just travel less distance through here. But that's fine. This is all good. And you're treating this corner now, rather than like tight hairpin, you're treating it as I want to sail through that apex out to the exit. So just keep doing that. It's nice. No, I mean, this is way more like the way I do it. Like, really, really good. And you got it back over to the left. That's the key. If you go out wide and you wait too long to get over to the left, you run out of room here. That was nice. So this is good. We can maybe be a tad closer there, but not much. Yeah, I think you could just carry more exit speed. So this is the tricky bit. This is where it's going to oversteer. But once you're through here, you can just like let it go. Like, really just run wider and wider and wider. Look how much room you've got on the exit there that time. So that just shows there was a bit more exit speed to carry there. Let's see, what was it like through here? We're closer to the wall, but there's still a little bit. There's a little bit. I'd say get on the white line at least into here. Good mid-corner. Like, the line was nice. The throttle came... I can hear it. The throttle came on quite late. It was like... Now is where you're getting on the power. And you had a lot of room on the exit. So you can just afford... On this lap, at least, you could afford... If you do that line and that entry, you can afford to get on the power slightly earlier. That's all. But this is looking way better, though. This is nice. Staying tight quite a long time. That's good. So we're getting early here. Still quite late into that left. Let's go on the onboard, see if it's deceptive. I think you're trying to get there early. It's not bad. It's not bad. The off-board shot makes it look slightly worse than it is. And you got through there fine, obviously. This is where I was saying, get left artificially early, because if you naturally were to draw a line through here, you probably end up on the left, like there, where the point of the cursor is. But that doesn't really give you any time to get the car settled and into the right. And you want to get pointed into that right quite early. So that's why I say you almost want to aim to arrive out there, here somewhere, a little bit earlier, so you're flat against the curb for a short period of time before you then turn right. Let's see how you do here. I think you do that, because look, you deliberately missed this here. You go a little bit wide here, I think on purpose, so you can arrive here. Although we didn't quite get all the way out, but I don't think that was bad. I don't think that was bad at all. Certainly a big improvement on what you're doing before. The key is that you get aimed in here early. Let's look in the onboard. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And you're clearly all the way out here now. I mean, flirting with disaster, actually. You're so wide. But that is so you can get turned in here early. We maybe, because of bumping up on this sausage curb, that maybe delayed your turn in a fraction into there.
I think it did, because my front wheel came off the curb, and I didn't want to turn at the same time.
Yeah. And it has this little moment of oversteer almost, where it kind of like digs in. It's not actually oversteer, but it's nearly oversteer there, where the car goes boom, and it points in. And yeah, obviously you had quite a lot of exit room there. So really, it's just the very end of that lap that you could maybe just tweak a little bit and just improve. But, you know, you were still in the practice phase. So, but yeah, you did a really good job at putting that into practice. Let me just bring up the data then. Let's grab yours. We'll get your one from the first run and from that run, just for reference. It's good for you to have just a little break now. I think that does not look like the right session. It's this one. So what did we do on the first run? It was this 22.4, wasn't it? Let's take that. And we want to add it to this one. And let's also add the other one. Let's go with... I'm actually going to take your last one. Yeah, because that first one there, none of those were your best sector. You did a purple here, here, and here. So let's take this one here, where you did the purple middle, because I think the first and last sector are probably closer than it was on that one. Let's go here. Okay, right, colours. Let's fix these colours. So let's do that one red, and then this one green. Okay, right, so clearly turn one, you're way faster now. So this is good, but there's a little bit more time to be had. And you can see what it is. It's purely, we're doing a similar amount of braking. It's purely just kind of trusting it and making it go through there faster because, okay, I'm using more steering angle here. This is the only thing I can really see. There's a peak just here on entry where I'm just turning in a bit more aggressively, almost double the amount of steering angle you've got. So let's just zoom in on that part of the track here. Your line, not terrible. You're going a tiny bit earlier and a tiny bit slower. But it's really there. It's actually the exit that the biggest gap is. Through the apex, you're kind of similar. It's really not bad at all. I think the reason you're slower here is because you were just too careful on the gas. Because when you look here, we're like the same. We meet the apex at a very similar point. And you just stay off the gas longer. I'm just like, off, bam, straight on. I'm not trying to be smooth there because I've got so much downforce. So you don't have to be smooth. You can just go, it's not going to spin the wheels. So you don't have to be like progressive introducing the throttle. That's the only change there. So that's nice. That's a nice, easy thing. You'll just gain time by going in quicker. Don't be afraid to use this little bit of extra steering angle that I've got on here. So from, you can see on the map where we are actually, what phase of the corner. So from here all the way to here, so it's entry to the apex pretty much. I'm using more steering angle, and actually then from the apex I'm using a bit less steering angle. So it's obviously just getting it angled in a bit earlier and then reducing whilst I'm on the power. But not bad at all, and a big improvement from your first set of runs. So let's look into here. Okay, so you're clearly a bit slower than you were before on entry, but then you're way faster all the way down the next straight. So that's good. So there's a very clear crossover point here. We're just slightly too exaggerated with the slowness, And that ties in with what we saw on the video where you were actually keeping it a bit tighter than I was. So you've maybe just over-compromised now. You've gone a little bit too far the other way, but the result is still better. So if you can, in fact, when you zoom out here, you can actually see it's quite an obvious minimum speed there. So let's just tweak that a fraction, make your minimum speed a tiny bit earlier, rather than I'm just back here and you're here. So it's only a few meters, but yeah, we can see, there we go. It's quite obvious when you can see the 3 lines, isn't it? You were out here, I wanted you here, you've gone even tighter. So there we go. Just give yourself... I'm glad my video analysis was correct here. You're also turning it... You remember the hairpin where I'm telling you to delay your turn in? You can see that you're creeping in a bit earlier. And so that, coupled with that, those two... You're just doing a tighter corner than I am. So just wait a tiny bit longer and let yourself go a tiny bit wider. Those two things combined will give you the best compromise through there. But braking trace, as always, really, really good. Really, really nice brake trace. Okay, let's look at the hairpin. Looking quite close here. Looking quite similar. Yeah, really good. So, let's zoom in. Okay, so you brake... I was telling you could brake earlier. Actually, you can still brake later, but you need to be at your peak hard braking for a bit longer. It's rare for me to be at 100% braking, but there's so much downforce on this car at this point, at this speed, I'm able to just nail it and stay nailed until here. So you can press it a bit harder, essentially. So brake a little bit later, actually, or at the same point as you currently are whilst you're getting used to it, but harder. That's it. And then roll off. Because you're rolling off at kind of the right point here, but your peak, you didn't scrub off enough speed. So that's all. Also, because of that, probably your minimum speed is happening later and mine here. So again, you can just get that minimum a little earlier. But I think you maybe did this slightly better on other laps. So don't read too much into that. But it's definitely a better thing than you were doing before. Look, you can still see we're turning in a bit earlier than I am there. So that it's so nice to see the GPS trace lines here, because it makes it obvious that even though you're going in later than before, you can go again significantly later and then come off more nicely. Because I am making a gain from here onwards down this next straight. So it's not huge, but it's something. I think doing what I'm doing here will make it even easier to be consistent with how the car reacts each time. Right, here we go then. So through the flat out right, we don't need to worry about that, just out of interest. Yeah, you're still going slightly later, but there's basically 0 lap time there. I'm just curious. Right, let's get to this corner. Okay, so we are, again, going in a little earlier, but we're running out to a similar point. If we zoom in on the actual speeds, I mean, it's night and day different to what you were doing before. So where before you were going from 1 second down to... You were losing half a second before. Now you're losing like a tenth. So it's just way better. Way, way, way better. So good job for doing that. The only advice then would be, if I get rid of that, just delay the turn in a fraction more. You're just wandering a little bit instead of being pinned to the outside and then angling through the apex. You're just creeping in a little earlier, and obviously it just gives you a marginally harder corner. Then this bit here, interestingly, you're actually going slightly slower through this. So there's a little bit of time to be gained through here. We saw it on the video, though. Look how much tighter the green one comes off this fast right. So I just don't think you allowed yourself the speed through there. Maybe because the lap was going well at this point. You tightened up, or you just didn't allow it to go through here as quick. But basically this little bit here, if I zoom in on it on the data, you can just carry a bit more speed. You can actually see, look how much you stay off the throttle through there. The moment I enter that, I'm just increasing super smoothly, because I don't want it to get a moment of oversteer. And in fact I do. I have 2 moments of oversteer, even though I'm being that smooth. Here and here and here, 3 moments of oversteer. But you can definitely be a little bit more on than you currently are, because previously you went through there faster and with more throttle. So yeah, just don't leave that on the table. You've got a load of room on the exit to play with here that you just didn't use. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. The fast right. Okay, So you enter way faster than you did before. You're lifting basically where I am. But it's this bit here, and we saw it again on the video. You had quite a lot of space on the left on this lap. And you
not going back to the gas.
Yeah, you didn't get back to the gas as early. That's all. So you can, essentially.
And my steering angle compared to yours?
Quite similar, although you started reducing it quite a lot earlier. Because you were going slower, you could. That's why. I kept it on. This bit here, I'm like, I'm going wider and wider. And then I got it straight when I could. So that is more of a... That's more a symptom of the fact you were going slower. So just get back to the power. Even if you get back half as early as that, you know, even if you're kind of midway between, you're going to come off there quicker. But I appreciate a few other times you ran too wide. But look, that's you can see, I know I was quite extremely wide, but it was legal. And it was my quickest, or one of my quickest. So you got a little bit of room for that. But that's not going to happen in like, you know, I know I was going to say in a 1 hour session, but you're not doing a 1 hour session. You're doing a couple of 10-minute runs, really. So you just need more time to get comfortable with that higher speed. But it's better. You're still doing it better. And you're still gaining time compared to before. And then we've got the fiddly bit. So let's take some of this together. Oh, sorry, I've zoomed in on the wrong bit. So from here onwards to the end. Right, hairpin's looking better. So the Sebastian Vettel hairpin, that's nicer. So just going in that little bit quicker and just kind of... And actually, your nice trail of the brakes here. It's all just looking quite nice there. We've got a lift here where I don't... Ah, that's interesting. The corner where you've had a couple of spins, I'm keeping it flat out. And you're lifting a bit for that. Okay. You are...
Maybe that's actually why I'm getting oversteer. Because
maybe.
I lift and then I go back to the power.
Yeah, here you're lifting and then getting back on. Your line in is very similar. Very, very similar in. You're letting it flow a bit wider on the exit, and you're not getting quite as wide here, but that's what we'd expect. You know, you're just not... You're a little bit less comfortable with being right at the edge of the track than I am, and that's just experience. You know, you'll just do more laps, and you'll get more comfortable with being nearer to the edge. But you're better than before, quite a lot better than before. And again, remember, the red one was your best lap of the first run.
Right.
So, yeah, just essentially... Oh, hang on, and I wanted to see how early are we getting... Where are we? Just here. How early are we getting to the edge of the track? You're actually going even earlier than me, so that's fine. You're getting out there and you're at the edge with enough time to turn into the next one. Okay, what's different here? I'm flowing a little wider earlier here. Okay, so the penultimate corner, I am carrying a bit more speed through here because I'm allowing myself to flow that little bit wider. Okay. Oh, no, hang on. I'm looking at the wrong corner. It's here. The penultimate corner is the one we're talking about. It's the last corner that I was looking at here. Okay, so final corner. Oh, we saw that on the video. Okay, yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong corner. On the video, we saw you had a lot of curb remaining on the exit of the last corner. So, yeah, so that makes sense. You can just carry a little bit more speed through final corner. It's not actually about getting on the power earlier, because you're on the power exactly the same as me. I think you just went in. You arrived there slightly slower, because you weren't on full throttle on this middle bit
in
here.
Between.
Yeah, in between the final two corners. I just got to full throttle and then lifted the same as you. So just effectively creating a bit more downforce through the extra speed and then using it and using the space in the final corner. It's all just an extension of the stuff we've been talking about from the first run onwards. But now you've done it, and you've done it pretty well, you just need to do it slightly more well. So key areas, I'd say there are 3 corners that I would want you to focus on. If you're going to go out and do another run now, I'd say earlier throttle through turn 1. If you've got it turned in as well as you did here, get back to, bam, full throttle. Don't try and be smooth on the power. Not running wide on the exit or not getting an off track on the exit is more a function of what you do on the entry rather than how much you get on the power. It's more about, did I slow it enough and angle it enough early on? If yes, then just smash the gas. If no, actually, it doesn't matter whether you're smooth on the gas or not. You're going to run too wide anyway. It's already happened. So you did it well on this one. So you've got the permission to get to full throttle. You just need to do it over and over and over until you're comfortable. But you know it's possible because I went through that mid corner. Well, we both hit the apex at a similar speed, but I'm still on your green lap, 10k quicker. And then on the exit, it's like nearly 20k quicker. So there's There's scope for lap time there for sure. Next big
and that's
one.
all from throttle application.
Or yeah, definitely
Timing.
it definitely looks like it from here. The only thing different really. Oh, and a little bit more steering angle early on, so that you're just angled in at that little bit earlier. Then the other big one. Okay, yeah, just go back to the speed you were carrying through this fast right onto like the back straight or whatever we call that one, that kind of medium straight. That's some time for sure. Then it is it's the fast right, the 6th gear right. It's just allowing yourself the freedom to go through there fast enough. Again, early throttle application, because whether or not you run wide on the exit is a little bit more about the early phase. If you've got it lined up, you'll probably be able to get on the power earlier. Even if it's halfway between me and what you did before, you're going to be quicker here. Because my minimum is all the way back here, and you're still slowing it down deep into the corner, like deep at the apex. So I'm definitely slowed well before the apex, and yours is carrying on later. So that's that. That's something we can just tweak. And then really the final thing is final corner. So it's turn 1. It's remember to not, in the hairpin, remember to not turn in too early. So turn 1, don't turn in too early at the hairpin. Carry more speed through that pretty fast right onto the back straight. Definitely just keep practicing maximising using your downforce through the fast 6th gear right. And final corner, earlier power application as well. Use the exit, really use that exit. So sorry, not earlier power application, earlier because you'll have got on it between the penultimate and the final corner,
right.
And then carry that additional speed whilst using the exit. Tell you what, why don't I make some notes whilst we're talking about this? So, good entry. I'm just going to repeat myself here, basically, the things we just spoke about. This was nice, give yourself a slightly nicer exit compromise. Running a little wider. Not as wide as you were before. And then hairpin. I love these notes.
And today is 3 or 4?
According to my notes, this is 4. Because I think you told me 3 before, and I wrote that down in the session.
Whatever I told you before was accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I added it to the last one, and I wrote 3, and then I've written 4 on this one. Don't turn in too soon. That's basically it. I remember. No, brake at 100%. Because we weren't. Yeah, it was here. That little outlier. Okay. This is kind of fine. I don't really want you to change that too much because you're so different from what you're doing before. But it's here on this particular lap. We were too wimpy with... I couldn't think of a better word.
That works.
This, again, is once the trajectory, that's a fancy word, is set up. Okay, that's why there's that little gap there. This is nice through here now. Hairpin's really good. Oh yeah, full throttle here. Just, it's not a lot, not a big loss, but I was doing it without even thinking about it, so it should be fine. But that does require that early turn into that thing, that section where you had the couple of spins. So just like get it. It looks like you're doing it now. But even here, look, we're still slightly later. So it's only a little bit. It's like half a car there. But yeah, just get it pointed in early, and then you can be full throttle through there. And then short squirt of full throttle. So And then just a final note. Essentially, just give yourself the permission to be going quicker through the middle, because it feels like you're going to run wide, but you're allowed to run wide because there's loads of room. So just do it. Otherwise, you really restrict how early you're on the throttle. So I think that's really good. You did really, really well there. It's quite technical track, that, with some really differing corners. And this car is like on its on throttle traction limit quite a lot of the time, in this section here in particular, and the final section. You're really having to make a judgment call on, I want to get a really fast exit, but I also don't want to be backwards. So throttle control is really key around here. But if you nail those other things which don't involve throttle control, like the high speed ones, obviously, turn 1, for example, you're not going to spin the rear wheel. Same with this one, this right-hander here, Stadium. I think that's pretty cool. You're not going to spin the wheels. You're going to, like you were mentioning earlier, the limiting factor there is your outside front wheel. So you have to be pointed the right way so that you can then get to full throttle, because then you can use that speed through the corner. So, but you can't really adjust it when you're already in it. You have to just get used to setting it up right and trusting the downforce and just sending it in, and obviously maximizing the entry width, like getting up to the wall here, for example. So just don't leave any space on the table. Trust the downforce. You've seen it's possible to carry that extra speed through there. So the car will do it, but you just have to get the inputs timed correctly, and then it will come together. It will happen. But you're really close now. You're way closer than before. Yeah, just do all that stuff. Just do it. How are we for time? Awesome. Yeah, good. Well, I haven't shortchanged you. We're good.
No, you haven't. In fact, you've gone the opposite direction.
I looked a little earlier. I was like, I wonder if we've got time for an extra run, but I don't think we have. So.
No. Well, I appreciate it, and I will get online and do another pack, and then I guess I'll just reserve the first day in that process.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, and as always, like, no rush. Like, I know it's week 13 soon, for example, so, and it's Christmas period and everyone's busy, so. But
yeah, actually, this is the last week now, right? This week at
Hockenheim. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just realised I've just this is unrelated to anything we've been talking about. I've got a really weak left thumb from sim racing injury. Like, my steering wheel snapped around on me about a year ago, and it's still.
Oh wow!
I can't press the buttons as hard. It's like it's I must have broken it or something and not realised, because it's just not as strong. Anyway, right, there we go.
It's probably a tendon or a ligament.
Maybe, yeah. It doesn't stop me doing anything, and I only notice it when I do an unnatural, a thing which I don't need to do. Like, I don't need to press this weird angle on the wheel, thankfully, but it's definitely, it definitely did some damage. Right, I'm going to